We're not eating very well at the moment. Globally, imbalanced diets are actually the #1 health burden in the world, and the food sector as a whole is responsible for more than a quarter of all greenhouse gas emissions and therefore a major contributor to climate change. What we set out to do is to analyze dietary changes that could counter those developments. We analyzed 4 dietary scenarios. The reference scenario that has the projected dietary patterns of 2050, as well as a scenario that looks at the possibility if everybody would adopt global dietary guidelines. And lastly, we also looked at vegan and vegetarian dietary patterns that include less amounts of animal-based products. We found that if people change from their expected diets to global dietary guidelines, you could save about 5 million deaths in 2050, reduce greenhouse gas emissions by about 1/3, and generate public benefits of about 1 trillion. If you would then go to more plant-based diets, then you could actually save 7 and 8 million deaths and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by about 2/3 and generate public health benefits and avoid the climate damages of about 1.5 trillion. Surely huge changes would be needed to actually realize those dietary scenarios. For example, just to go from the expected diets to the global dietary guidelines would require that red meat consumption would be reduced by half globally and by 2/3 in Western countries, as well as in Latin America, for example. And fruit and vegetable consumption would need to be doubled in some regions, such as South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. From a health perspective, any changes towards more plant-based diets would be beneficial. But we find that on the environmental side, it would actually not be enough to just go to the dietary guideline scenario if you would want to reduce food-related greenhouse gas emissions to the same extent that all greenhouse gas emissions need to be reduced to basically keep global warming below 2 degrees. We seriously need to think about adopting more plant-based diets in concert with achieving greater technological advances.